Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video, we're going to look at Tamora Pierce's third book in her Circle Opens quartet. This is Cold Fire. This is focusing on Daja. If you have not seen my Circle of Magic quartet, which I did back in September, check those out. These don't entirely make sense without it. I also covered the first two books in the series. You can kind of read these books out of order because they focus on the individual people and their kind of adventures after they leave home, with the exception of Sandri, but basically after her friends have left. So that's what we're covering in this review. So this is Daja's book. She and her teacher Frostpine have gone to visit friends of his in Norman, which is oddly enough where Sandri's mother's family is from. And you revisit that in the Will of the Empress. I'll get to that at some point. So in this story, now Daja is a metal mage. They're staying with friends. She happens to notice that both of their daughters have magic. So they're a pair of twins. I think they're about 10 or 11 at this point. One is a cooking mage. The other one is woodworking. So she has to teach them meditation. She actually has to go around. She does have to go around and find teachers for them. So she has to go searching for various woodworkers or a cook or a chef. I think they just call it a cook, to teach these girls. And then she has to spend time. Neither one of the teachers, she finds a woodworker who'll do it, and then she finds a cranky old chef who works essentially at the insane asylum to teach her. But apparently they're the best person around. And the young girl, I can't remember who she. Look at the back of this. What are the girls' names? And let's see. It's not giving me the girls' names on here. Let me see if I can find the girls' names. Let's see. It's been a while. Let's see. Where the heck are they? These young girls. Anissa, and then I believe that's the wood. And what is the other one's name? I can find them here. It's been a while since I read this book, but I happen to know it pretty well by heart here. Oh dear. And of course I'm looking through the book. Let's see. Where are Anissa? Anissa is the name of one twin. Where is the other one? I cannot find where these girls' names are in this book, which is kind of funny. So also in going on, there's a funny scene in this book while I search where now Frostpine is a very large black man. He does not like being cold, and like Daja, he's impervious to fire. So she finds him half naked sitting in their fireplace and scaring people because he's freezing. No, yeah, he's absolutely utterly freezing, and he hates being in Norman because it's cold. And he's like, I do not want to be bloody freezing. So they're essentially waiting for winter to end so the passes will open so they can leave. And so let's see if I can find, So let's see, where the heck are the names of these girls here? They're Normanese. They're an upper class. That's the other thing that's going on. The family they're staying with is a merchant family, so mostly these girls, similar to nobles, they have to make good marriages. And that's and they start preparing for that when they're very, very young. And having a mage wife is actually very good. So it's a good thing to them. So let's see if I can find the names of these girls. Let's see. Where the heck are they? And again, similar to the other two books, Daja has to be told by Frostpine. It's like, you have to teach them. You have to find them teachers. If you can't teach them, you have to teach them meditation. And that's how all of them start. And they have to become teachers. And why on earth? Okay, let's just move on. So he has to teach the twin girls. The other thing that's going on, similar to each one of these stories, there has to be something else besides them teaching. They're getting a lot of arson fires. going on. And so she's working with basically a firefighter, to find out who's committing these arson. In fact, Daja creates him a pair of fireproof gloves, because she, if you remember from her book in the Circle Magic Quartet, she ends up, due to an accident of being involved in a massive wildfire, her staff, which had a metal cap, almost the metal melts into her skin, into her hand, and because she's a metal mage, it essentially becomes part of her skin and it flakes off. So she has living skin that she keeps in a bowl, essentially. And she creates these gloves for this guy that are fireproof. And so she's working kind of with him to figure out who this arson is, while also teaching these girls how to meditate. And she has to figure though they're twins, they're very different. One of them can sit and meditate, and that's easy for her. But the other one gets bored really easily. So Daja actually teaches her to do meditation using a staff, where she basically does repetitive movements, and as that form of meditation, she has to figure, and it's a form of fighting and defense. So she teaches her how to do that. One sister has to do one thing, one sister has to do the other. So she has to figure out how to fit the schedule in, besides working on her own stuff, because I think she's working on a few other things for the families, and helping with these arson fires. What ends up happening is the guy who's, as unfortunately is kind of common, you might be able to see the plot a mile away, the guy who's in charge of finding out who sets the fires is actually the person who sets the fires, and he is killing people. And what he ends up doing is he sets the insane asylum on fire, and they have to rescue people. And there's a guy there who's, I can't remember his name, he plays part later. Daja realizes that he helps her get people out. Realize he's not actually crazy. He's similar to Tress. He's hearing things on the wind. So he's not actually nuts. People just assumed he's nuts. And so he helps her get these people out, and this guy, I think, he tries to kill her, and he ends up essentially dying in the fire. He's angry because there's not a lot of work for him to do, and they essentially don't think much of him until there is a fire. And because there wasn't a lot of fires, essentially he was bored, and he wanted to get back at people for being arrogant and treating him badly. So he just decides to set places on fire and kill them and do everything. And for a while, the police think it might be Daja because they sense her magic on there. And that's how she figures out who it is, because of the gloves. Because it has her magical signature, because it's made from her skin. So, and that's kind of the basis of this story. You have her trying to figure out who this arson is, along with both this firefighter as well as the police of the town, as well as train these two twin girls in different types of meditation and make sure they get the proper tutorage. So that's kind of the basis. I wouldn't say it's complicated. It's interesting. Again, similar, it's a mystery-like thing, which is similar what you find in all of these books, is you're trying to figure out almost a whodunit kind of thing. And as well as these young mages who are now about 16 having to come into their own in paying back their tutorage by teaching themselves. And they are, at least for this time period, they are adults. They have become 16, and they are kind of going out on their world. And with the two young girls, they have to learn to, one, control their own magic, and two, learn to meditate and kind of grow up in and of themselves. Now, these girls know their place. They know they're most likely going to be wives. And one of them, they find it very strange because she's a woodworker. So she's I think she ends up working in a place that does boat making and carpentry. So, and these are actually both favorable traits to have in a wife. And I think one of them there is inklings that she is going to end up marrying her mentor's son. at the end. Again, they're still relatively young, but they would negotiate these type of marriages around their 13, 14 years old. So that's the basis of this story. The young girls come into their own in understanding their own magic and meditation and their place in the world. And Daja comes into her own as becoming an adult. She's learning to teach, and she's taking her place in the adult world, so to speak. Similar to all of them. That's kind of the point of each one of their journeys. It just takes place in a different thing. And Daja gets the double whammy of having two students that are very, very different in how they learn and how they meditate. And luckily in this case, one, they have parents who are very, very supportive. And then of course she's dealing with these arsons going on and being suspect because of her magical signature. So, and then of course it's freezing cold and she's learning to ice skate, and she's not very good at it because again, she grew up both in Aniline, where she spent her adolescence, and then before that she was on the ocean. So not really around snow and ice. And then of course Frostbite is absolutely 100% miserable because he doesn't like snow either, but he's visiting, these are his friends. It's his friends that they're visiting, and they're creating a couple of things for them. So that's really it for the story. There's not much to it. This is why I dropped the book upon the floor. It happens. I'm a human. This, I think, these they're larger than the Circle of Magic Quartet. So this book, let's see, is this the end of the book? Wait a sec. No. Let's see. Let me find the actual page numbers because she does a little over 354 pages. So a decent length, fantastic book. You can, again, read the Circle Opens Quartet out of order. You can't read the Circle of Magic Quartet out of order, otherwise it does not make sense. So, and you probably get more out of it if you read the Circle of Magic Quartet before reading these guys, because you get to know the characters and their background a little bit more. But that's really it for this review. If you like this review, again, check out the Circle of Magic Quartet if you haven't already. Check out the rest of my reviews for the Circle Opens. I will eventually do The Will of the Empress, and then her two other books that are connected to this world, Battle Magic and then Magic Stones, which concern other people, though Battle Magic does concern Briar, who was in Street Magic, as well as he has his own book in the Circle of Magic Quartet. So check out those. I do all of Harry Potter. I have a bunch of other book reviews, film reviews, some kids travel stuff, some secular, aka non-religious homeschooling reviews, and a whole bunch more to come. Thank you.